Thursday, February the 27th, 2025. We have a quorum. Conflict of interest. Anybody wants to declare a conflict of interest, maybe do so now. If not, I need a motion to adopt the agenda tonight. Alan? Second by Harvey. Question or comment on the motion? All those in favor of the motion, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Contrary? That's passed. Unanimously. I need a motion to adopt the minutes of January the 23rd, 2025. Harvey? And second by Ken. Question or comment on that? Arthur, you have a question? No, okay. I saw your hand move. I'm not used to doing the Zoom things. Bear with me. Okay, we have a motion on the floor. No question or comment. All those in favor of the motion? Oh, question?
No.
Oh, okay. Sorry. All those in favor of the motion, signify by saying aye. That's passed unanimously. Sorry. Business arising from the previous meetings. Anything the strategic plan priorities follow us.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I just wanted to bring this back, make sure we didn't lose sight of it. When I went through the feedback that we got from our planning session, I did not see anything that was a deviation from what we had in our current strategic plan. And I, at some point at a future date, I think we need to discuss if there are going to be significant changes on it. I really didn't see, I don't know how far you want to go with that. And how far you want to edit that. I didn't plan for that tonight, obviously, but the results were that when we went through the priorities, you remember I brought up all the priorities of each service and we discussed it. There really wasn't a lot of change in the priorities. There were some really good suggestions on strategies. So I'm going to work on combining that with anything that would be different than what we already had in our current strategic plan, and I will bring that back to the board of what was suggested around that meeting. But it wasn't a big departure from what we had, which is a good thing. So that's why that was there.
Any questions or comments on the strategic plan priorities from Paul's from the board? Now we'll move along to new business. Potential for ESIC to meet with RSC to discuss.
Yeah, so I included in the download package. OPT4 has been now completed by ESIC, that's Economic Social Inclusion Corporation. And it was an 18-month process. It was a long process, a huge amount of work went into that, a lot of consultation around the province. It was a big deal. This is what largely what guides our community development. And they've done a lot of sort of different things in this version. It's called OPT4 because this is the fourth time they've done it. It's always a 5-year plan. And anyway, they when I was at a meeting a couple of weeks ago, and I talked with the executive director of Economic Social Inclusion, they've said that they're willing to and would like to meet with each RSC separately to talk about what that is, because there's a lot of pretty important stuff. And the report, I'm not going to go through it because this is it. It's big. There's a lot to it. And I'm not the guy to explain it. But they would be. And there are things that are actionable by provincial government, there's things that are actionable by RSC, and there's also things that are actionable by local governments. That you can consider, discuss, and so the point on this new business point was that they would like to come and talk to this board at some date whenever you're available. It could be one of our committee meetings, it could be, it could be a special meeting. And yeah, so I want to put that out there. We don't have to decide on that tonight, but we could discuss, if you had any thoughts on it.
Questions or comments? Do you guys, is there a certain date that the board would like to have ESIC come to us, or would you like to discuss it further on?
involved in this meeting or something?
You probably were.
Yeah.
You probably were at some
I
point.
think Ken was there, remember, and 1 year, yeah. At the macadamia place. Yeah.
Oh, okay, right.
They were, that must be when they gathered the
yeah.
information, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, you probably were. There was consultation.
A whole day, cause my wife was there,
Yeah.
my wife was there for the food bank.
Yeah.
I
Yeah,
remember that.
All of that.
Yeah.
Sure.
Is
Could
there
that be a separate meeting?
Yeah,
Just
I
just on
think
that,
I think it would be separate.
That's what I was suggesting it would be.
Maybe think about it and, I mean, I can come up with some potential dates. I can ask them when they're available.
Well, that's what I was gonna suggest, ask them when they're available, then throw some dates back and ask them. Be probably the best way to do it. It's no use us picking a date if they can't catch stuff. So,
And because it would probably be more people, and at this type of a thing, I would also suggest that rather than call this a board meeting per se and just board members, I would suggest that if you have counselors that are kind of in that space as well, maybe invite them.
Sure.
And you probably invite a couple of the other stakeholders that are in the community development space, like Horizon and a couple of others, to talk about it, and just so there's not mixed messaging. That'd be my recommendation, anyway. So we could have some kind of a meeting event where it's, so we need obviously a bigger space, probably an academic place again or something, but.
Yeah.
It's I know that they put more work into this one than they did any of the others. And just there's a couple of things to know. I can't remember what pages they were on, but the local governments one. I could point out where it is, but there are things for local governments, there are things for us, and they've come up with sort of 16 major priorities or action points, but only 4 or 5 of those are going to be for regional service commission. The others are going to be either provincial government or other organizations or local governments or something different. But anyway, like I said, the guy to explain this is going to be the executive director of Economic Social Inclusion Corporation. So I will come up with some dates and see when they're available.
That's all right, everybody, we will leave with us to come up with some dates and see if they can hold it at the macadamia place, which is the big venue. And we'll invite, or counselors would like to come too. Counselors are always invited to all our meetings anyway, but
Yeah,
especially
just this one,
especially
especially
if
if
I
they're
invite.
kind of in that space and like, I don't know, everybody has different councils and they have like different sort of areas and.
Different interests, yeah. Okay, we'll move along to committee and staff reports, CEO report, Hollis.
Okay, so, this is the front part is my typical report, except that, you know, I have a year over year of January. It's not significantly different. There isn't like big changes to report in the amounts of waste we're getting. We had a little more this January than we had last January, but less than January before. So we're kind of holding steady right now. Again, we're going to monitor that, but I think we know what the volumes are going to be this year, so be able to budget accordingly. Year-to-date planning files obviously is January, so we don't get a lot, but we still get some. And we've done some enforcement work lately as well. I'm working on another in the planning space. Alex and I are working on something that I'll talk about at a later date, but it has to do with dangerous and unsightly enforcement and no way of streamlining that. And I think Alex came up with some pretty innovative stuff. So once we get that fleshed out a little better, we'll have more of a discussion. At the board, I always include the website stats, and for whatever reason, January's was a lot busier than previous months. Not quite sure why, but we do have a significant amount of traffic on our website still. So other stuff. So I do have I put out my applications and confirmed with them, they received my applications for funding for recreation. So there are two applications there. One is an application for 15,000 for recreation. Not study per se, but planning. And the other one is the application to fund a person. And that funding program is now going to be it's a 3-year, at least a 3-year, but it's 100% for the 3 years. Where previously when we did this, it was a diminishing grant, like it was 100% the first year and then 75 the next and 50 the next and 25. But this one is not that way. Been encouraged. I've had some, they've been encouraging about it. So hopefully that comes to fruition. And so what that would, if it is approved, and I suspect that might happen before the end of government fiscal, so pretty quickly, I'm not sure. That means that we'll talk about it again at that point, but we talked previously about having somebody being the regional recreation coordinator to coordinate tournaments and leagues and that type of thing, plus take on all the trails, plus pick up where we left off with our recreation hub and our cataloging of all things southwest for recreation. But really it was the change here was more of a coordination of leagues, tournaments and things like that. So I think minor hockey to assist those folks, or a pickleball league or different things like that to get off the ground. So we'll see what happens if I get that grant. There is usually provincial meetings at the beginning of any year, so I went to a whole bunch of them in a row. And it was Economic Social Inclusion Corporation again. It was RDC, talking about what the mood is and feeling is for grants and things like that. Regional Resiliency was there, ONB, the other RSC CEOs, obviously joined me on that one. We had a presentation from, this one was kind of new on me, Bureau de Quebec en Atlantique. So Quebec provincial government has employees or people in New Brunswick and Nova Scotia. And he gave me his card, I talked to them for a bit. And the idea is that they're actually a funding partner, or they can be a funding partner. No, but their priority, of course, is going to be French culture. But should they want to do something in Southwest to at least promote a little bit of French culture down here, I'm sure he'd be open to it. I'll give you an example. I don't know if you are familiar with it, but in Le Pays de Seguin in they had the Acadie Lumiere, which is the Moment Factory of Montreal did. It's a light show, and you walk through the woods and sound. So I went to it last year. It's an amazing thing. Anyway, they were a funding partner, big funding partner for that. I had no idea that Quebec provincial government was willing to fund things in New Brunswick, but they are. And the other part of that meeting was they had a presentation on pay equity, which was a little bit eye-opening for me, to be honest with you. And maybe an exercise we go through at the RSC. I didn't fully understand what pay equity meant until I talked with these people. Oh, I get it. And it's not paying a female and a male the same amount of money for the same job. That's not what it is. This is something different from that. So anyway, it's going to become something that we're going to be required to do probably anyway. So I will keep you apprised on that one. Our auditors have started. They were there the last couple of days at the landfill office where they work out of mostly. And so far, so good. Nothing particularly ordinary, but we'll have those reports shortly, like we do every year. And finally, so because of our changing political environment that we find ourselves in, I'm looking at what we do here at the RSC. We actually don't have very many American vendors, and the ones that we do, they're American vendors because they're the only ones selling that particular specialized thing, and that's fine. We don't have a problem there. There isn't a specific policy, but there could be a policy in place where we buy Canadian first and then look outside. I know we got two national, but one of the things that I am doing, much to the chagrin of some of the staff, is that I am moving all of our data, including web hosting, web server, email, but data storage particularly. So we use a lot of cloud storage and backup because it's 2025, that's how you do it. So I'm moving away from things like OneDrive, Microsoft OneDrive, that's stored on American servers. And I have found a Canadian solution to that, which is actually better. And the difference is when you store your data on Canadian servers with a Canadian company, and these people, it's high security, but they also are compliant with it's a PIPEDA, which is our national regulations around data storage and privacy, and who can and can't access it. And then there's a bunch of other certifications, a bunch of other acronyms. So where I'm storing it now, it qualifies for medical storage if you wanted it to in Canada. If you store your data on just OneDrive or whatever, and it's on an American server, there are zero protections. They cut off that at any time. And not only that, but the USA Patriot Act gives them the right to access any of it. And given our current climate, I feel it's best if we just repatriate all of our information and data to Canadian servers, because I don't know what's next. Nobody can predict that. It doesn't cost any more to do it either. It's just a matter of you're not using, the default, which is always OneDrive in Microsoft Office, but you don't have to. You can use a Canadian server instead. So, and there's a bunch of other things I'm going to go through as we move forward. I want to make sure that we're not stuck and dependent on an American software or data service. Zoom that we're using right now is an American company, but they're using Canadian servers. But if for whatever reason Zoom went down, then we figured that out, that's not the end of the world. And we'll have to move our phone system, which is also through Zoom, our voice over IP stuff. But there's a lot of Canadian vendors that will do that. So that'll be in the coming months. Anyway, the end of this exercise is that all of our stuff will be Canadian. It's going to look a little different than your typical Office stuff. So we're not going to be using a lot of Microsoft products. We're not going to be using a lot of products that we typically see because American storage again, American vendors, and nobody knows where that stuff's going. And let's face it, you look at who was in back of the current president during his inauguration. Those are the guys running stuff. To that end, I've also been pushing, again, I sent an email to the Premier, to Bell Media, to a few others. We need a cell tower at the landfill. And if we get a cell tower there, then we'll have access to data, either 5G or LTE, right there, that I can connect that landfill to instead of Starlink, which is what it's connected to right now. So anyway, I just wanted to kind of update you on where I'm going with that stuff.
Who would you go with, an Xplornet or something like that? Is it?
Well, we have an Xplornet connection now, but it's not good enough because we have everything connected at that site. We have, I forget how many clients, it's over 100. So all the phones, all the video cameras, all the computers, the SCADA system, everything, all the alarm system, everything. But if we had the cell tower there and Bell had, 5G or LTE data access,
right,
that would work well.
And with exploring that, if you have a cell phone tower close enough to line of sight, they have a better system. Because they offered it to us before we get the Starlink, because you can see the tower. We couldn't do that, but so
any other questions?
you see the tower.
Any questions or comments? I want to welcome Mayor Henderson. He just came on there a few minutes ago. Ken, you have a question?
I was watching a program the other night and they were talking in Southern Ontario. And evidently they do the same type of thing over there where garbage passes back and forth across the border. And they were talking about the tariffs adversely affecting that flow of garbage or back and forth across the border. Are you seeing anything like that on this side, Hollis, with us?
No, at least not yet. I'm trying to stay a little bit.
Hmm.
Not really get into it too much. Nobody's really mentioned anything. If it happens, it happens. Not much I can do about it. But it's not a. I'm still a little bit unclear on what the tariffs are. So right now, they're only really talking about products, goods, steel, aluminum, cars, things like that. And I haven't heard about services. So really what we sell is a service. But that could change. I mean, I don't.
Any other questions, comments on,
his report.
this report? Any?
Yeah.
No, yeah, go ahead.
So under solid waste, I think we touched on this a little bit there. It might just been just me and yourself, but the glass bottles of styrofoam. One of my counselors did go check, and they do take it at our local recycle depot. But I think, how do we encourage people to use that? Because it does benefit our municipalities. Because that weight comes out of our trash and goes there. Styrofoam is pretty light. I can't imagine that making much difference, but glass bottles is the heaviest thing that goes in my bags. So multiply that by 10,000 people. That's a lot of jars.
It's so again, that's a circular materials run program.
Yeah, I
And
understand
so
that.
they should be promoting that. But we can promote on our social, because we got a pretty good reach with social media ourselves. And our stuff, our website. Where that goes, we can make those changes, but we try to stay out of the space of recycling because that is their domain. That's their.
Yeah, no, and I think we talked about that too, but my issue is it benefits us.
Yep.
To have them do it, so whether, it might not be the same to the circular material, they might not be as aggressive. I mean, we can ask them and maybe they'll do it for us. I mean, by all means, do that first, but I think
In your case, because it's actually within St. Stephen.
the depot.
Yeah.
Well, my next question was just gonna ask the rest of them if they have one, but at a location, but yeah, I don't know what the other locations.
The only ones I know of are Charlotte County Cannon Bottle and up your way, Ken, Coles. And I think your group there in the Academy, are they not involved with that too, with bottles? Or just returnables? There,
You have your mic off.
Yeah, we started out at Lakeland Industries, we started a recycle operation out there, and we do take bottles out there. And other things, but that's working out very well for for Lakeland Industries. It's providing work for intellectually challenged adults, and it's proving to be a moneymaker for the organization. So it's worked out well. I don't know what you've got down there that would be comparable, Al.
Well, like we do have the place where you take your recyclables, that they give you money, but the glass jars aren't giving you any money. They're just taking them. So I'm just wondering how to encourage people to take on that service. And it'd be easier to convince someone that's already taken the returnables back and they're already making the trip. Okay, and then they take that with them once they go.
Yeah.
But then, like in my case, I don't take my recyclables, I give them away. So to like sports or donate it. I always donate it. Yeah, so and they're not gonna take my glass jars. So, like, here's, take these on when you're going up. So I thought about that too. Again, it's definitely a benefit to our citizens because then our weight goes down, which that benefits them. So they're getting money back, but just not getting the $20 and away they go. So anyway, just bringing awareness to it more. There's people who have been waiting to do this for years, and they're going to go regardless. Yeah, okay. We'll just dig in.
I think social media is your best way of getting that word out.
Mhm.
And there's hours, but I mean, St. Stephen's is like all of your
Yeah.
socials are fairly active, and that's what people look for.
Mhm.
You know, I would suggest that you get, you know, town staff to start
Yeah.
promoting it,
Yeah.
because it's just better for you guys. And beyond that, if there's nothing in Eastern Charlotte, is there?
No.
No.
You got recycle place there, don't you?
He shut that down, did he not?
What, into the bottles and stuff like that? No, he's still operating. I go by there the other day, he's taking bottles in, yeah.
But is he taking jars and
I'm not sure what he's taking there.
like
honestly.
non-returnables, I
Yeah,
guess. or just like-
Electronics, televisions. and-
Yeah, I don't think he's taking any of that stuff, no.
They're
Are they
They're
taking that
supposed
stuff too?
they're supposed to, yes.
Yep.
So up here.
Oh,
up here
okay,
in
so
Milltown.
here, I'm learning more here as it goes. I didn't know that's even more weight. I mean, that's a television.
Oh.
Okay, we gotta work, I need a list of
Yeah.
what they take.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and,
exactly.
maybe it might be a good idea, if you could talk to them where this glass containers. I mean, they're gonna go in a steel bin. They've gotta go in a steel bin. I don't think you can put them in plastic, you know, they're gonna be sharp and whatnot. There's no reason they couldn't have a bin sitting outside where people can drop them off even after hours.
Yeah.
Because you're not gonna get any
Well,
refund for
You
them.
don't remember our other nightmare we had?
You don't want unsupervised bins.
Yeah, but for,
You will get everything in there.
you'll get everything, I suppose, yeah, all right, all right. I understand now.
Yeah,
I'm assuming everybody's.
Yes.
honest, but-
We used to have, remember the recyclable bins?
Oh, I
that
remember
we
those,
used to
yes.
have, and they, you know, whatever they thought we should be recycling is what went in there, including, you know, deer carcass or, you know,
Yeah.
Yeah,
Mhm.
they're gonna be supervised, but it wouldn't be a bad idea, say, like, things that are far away from.
Right.
If there was a place that, you know, if municipality wanted to put pretty much, but they provided us with a beautiful, like it's a sea can, but it's got a big wrap on it. And then, the oil people are doing the same thing for the oil EPR program. So we're starting to do more and more of that at our public depot. But that's up there.
yeah, I mean, you say you're not making money, but it's not gonna go into our landfill. And we have to deal with ourselves as often. I mean, there's an impact there too. Less of an impact, whatever word it is, but it's beneficial.
Yeah, well, it isn't just the landfill either. They actually do take the stuff apart.
Alright, so we got, and so for my own benefit, when we talk about jars, obviously it's without the lid, right? The metal lid wouldn't go with it. So that we'd have to be a little demonstration of what they have to.
To be honest with you, I'm not that familiar with how the whole glass thing works, because we've never done it. But. Or even what they do with the glass, like I don't even know where it goes or. I had heard that a Quebec company was making the grinding wheels and stuff, the abrasives and stuff out of it. Like, I don't know what you do with recycled glass.
What about a metal lid? Is that waste or can that go in a recycle?
Depends on what the metal is, probably garbage, because a metal lid is not it's not a single material.
No, if it's plastic on it.
There's like three. 4 different things.
Anyway, yeah, sorry, well, don't take up the whole meeting for that, so just. Yep, alright,
I was in Charlotte at a place that turns glass into sand. It's like a tumbler and it's like recycled sand. It's pretty neat.
that was Saturday, I suppose, it was saying, just picking it back.
Beach class.
Beach glass, huh?
Beach class.
A lot of people love picking beach glass, maybe we can get some,
Take it all
we'll give it
around.
to the tourism operators, you start smashing it on the
We'll
beaches.
send it all to Graham and they'll take it.
You got here, better stuff.
No,
Roger,
I can't.
Oh,
Was the queen of the beach
Yeah.
glass there,
We got a whole festival for it.
yeah.
Okay, Hollis, what's your next report, I guess?
Solid waste, we already talked a lot about solid waste.
Yeah.
But I did get a report here from Mike, and really actually is not that big of a deal. The only thing to take note of there is we're looking for proposals for a new compactor, which is what we had in the budget for, so we're starting that process of getting this. There's really only 3 vendors, compactors, so.
Are you doing that in conjunction with Moncton?
Yeah.
Okay, I knew that was the plan, but I didn't know whether that had gone all the way through.
Yeah.
Okay,
Well, yeah, and we'll see what we get back.
Okay.
And just for your information, the vendors of the people that make compactors are from either Finland or Germany. CAT is American category. The other two are European. Yeah, so that's my report, Mr. Chair.
Great, thank you. Okay, let's move along to final report. I think planning, you have a motion in there, do you?
I do,
Yeah.
I'll just go through a couple of highlights of the planning report itself. So. We drafts for St. Andrews and St. Stephen municipal plans. There's some, the bylaws update, the growth policy, reflect new community boundaries, coordinate development programs. I'm not gonna read every word here. Bundy Shores has been sent to DLG for approval. So draft update to Graham and Ann. And the motion that I'm going to get to here in a second has to do with St. Andrews and the newly adopted Heritage Conservation Bylaw. Some of the totals that we've seen so far has been 34 building development permits so far in January, February. About 4.7 million in permitted construction so far. 15 subdivisions have been approved, 17 new building lots created. And some other 29 new homes or apartments permitted in January and February. We've had 8 new enforcement files open so far in 2025. And since we started reporting this, we've brought 162 into compliance. When we say we brought into compliance, sometimes we issue an order and the order fixes the problem and we don't have to go any further than that, which is what we really want to happen. Regional planning, regional, this is what I was referring to was this dangerous and unsightly premises bylaw enforcement. So a regional approach to that is what we're doing some little bit of research into right now. And creating the GIS municipal asset management platform, a shared one for the region. BRAC met once in January. And so the motion that I have that's in your package there is that the board authorized us to enter into an agreement with the town of St. Andrews to provide a registered planner to the town fee for service arrangement to function as a heritage officer for defined limited functions. The reason we need this, and this isn't going to be something that gets used a lot. It's a couple times a year. It just when something comes up, you can read it there in your package. Anyway, because it's a sort of a new type of business for us for planning, that's why we're looking for a motion on the board.
So at this point, I'll entertain a motion, and then we'll have further discussion after having a motion. So maybe Mayor Henderson, would you like to make a motion?
Yeah, I'm between a motion and a conflict of interest, I guess, just because it's a service for the town of St. Andrews. So I've been sitting here wondering if I should just recuse myself for a second because it obviously benefits the town of Sarah. So let's just do that. I'll recuse myself. But I'd say Hollis did a good job of explaining it. It's more of a prevent people from bulldozing heritage homes in St. Andrews and protecting some character defining elements in some of the homes. It's not a very, if you look at the scale of heritage bylaws, it's more on the lenient side than anything, but it's a foundation in a way after being unsuccessful 3 times by council to implement the past, we're able to successfully pass it. So it's a good start because we are seeing more and more development pressures. And, people are going to look at these heritage homes and say, I'd rather build my dream home and tear one of these down. Right. So a little bit of concerning, but yeah, you did a good job, Hollis. I'll just excuse myself.
Just for the minutes, Mayor Henderson was recused himself from this issue. So that, make sure that's written in the minutes.
Question?
Yeah.
Or did you ask
No, what I'd like to do is entertain a motion first, and then we'll do into question and comment like that. So I need a motion first. So anybody want Give me the motion. All you gotta do is read what's in front of you.
That is the motion.
Yeah.
I'll make the motion that the board authorize the Southwest New Brunswick Service Commission to enter into an agreement with the town of St. Andrews to provide registered professional planner to the town for a fee for service arrangement. The function is a heritage officer for a defined limited function.
Okay, those limited functions are right there.
Oh, you want me to read them down?
Yeah, probably, because that's what the
Yeah.
motion is. Just get it for the record.
Reviewing income and building or development applications within the heritage conservation area to determine whether they also require heritage permits. Reviewing and managing intake and heritage permits, writing reports to the town of St. Andrews Heritage Board about any proposals to demolish or modify heritage buildings and provide support to the town of St. Andrews in matters relating to heritage inspection.
Okay, Mayor Matthews has made that motion, he's seconded it. Looking at it. Okay, Jim. Okay. We have a motion on the floor, question, and a seconder. Question or comment?
Question.
Yeah,
I'm just wondering, I know it's kind of, it's focused on heritage, eh? That's the, could it? Could this do more work besides just heritage? And like look after like minimum standards? Of like protecting our assets from getting to the point they have to be torn down. And it might not be a heritage building, but
It's an interesting concept, but it would be a separate thing.
it'd be separate altogether, okay, all right, so. I just didn't know if that was enough, just in St. Andrews alone, that would build more work for the same dual roles, or anyway, just putting a thought out there.
any other questions or comments? None, all those in favor of the motion, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Contrary, it's passed unanimously. Okay, Mayor Henderson, you're allowed, you're back, great, excellent. Okay. Where are we up to next? We're up to the community development.
Ray has written, it's basically a one-page report included in your package. Basically, the activities of these guys, a lot of communication, a lot of networking, which is normal for what we're doing. There was a successful grant writing workshop on January 26th. There was over 35 people there. We've done some grant stuff, which is a sort of a separate report on the next page. The grants he's been administering, these are a lot of the small grants that you see that go out through ESIC. They provide funding for some of the smaller stuff. There's a note there on the OPT4, which I kind of addressed as a separate point under new business. A little bit more about it there. But we will plan to have a bigger meeting around that. In resilience, the committee did meet. There's a bunch of small projects that go through the resiliency stuff that gets administered. And in transportation, so the transportation scan that was a part of our strategic plan has been completed, included in the package download. Interesting. It's the other document that you'll see on the table. So I didn't print one for everybody, it's fairly big, but if you want, it was great for you. We need that to go forward. With Charlotte Dial Ride, we've been kind of helping them get through this Blaze dispatch platform. It was supposed to be, the entire process was supposed to be on it by the end of last year, but there's some snafus, snags, things like that, and we were very, very careful with Dial Ride because our Dial Ride is extremely successful in this province, but they are also very, very busy. So we didn't want to disrupt anything, and we didn't want to scare any volunteers away at all. Or volunteers is their biggest challenge. And I also included in that package a little graphic. Maybe if you want to pass that on to your municipal staff, respectively, to maybe put out in your socials, because they are looking for volunteers as much as they can.
Is there certain areas where they're low, or is it total?
Kind of all over.
All over.
kind of all over. We could use, actually, I think they could use a little more down your way.
Well, that's why I asked the question, was if that our area is a little weaker now.
Yeah,
So,
and what happens is they just drive kind of longer distances sometimes.
yes,
But, yeah, they could use more down your way for sure. And they've also given me a letter of interest in our Dodge Caravan. So I have that, and their intent there is that they would take over the vehicle, the maintenance, like all the whole thing, so that we're not on the hook for anything. And that was what I kind of asked, if you're interested, please have your board get together and give you a letter of interest on what you're interested in. So that's what we're looking at. So our next steps there are going to be to look at how that transfer might happen, because if I just give it to them for $1, then they're going to pay the PVT at Service New Brunswick. How do we kind of navigate that? Can they pay that? Whatever that looks like. And then the last and kind of bigger thing, and this should have gone into grant stuff, but I know he's been working he's been very busy with this Rural Transit Solutions Fund thing, because the deadline is March 4th, Tuesday. And so what we're looking at is, this is where the bigger, like the buses will come in. So I believe how it's worked out is that it's going to work better if we submit a couple of smaller applications on behalf of, in conjunction with the different organizations. Village of Academy is one. There is the Seniors Resource Center. There is Charlotte Dollar Ride. There is Lorraine's. I can't remember what her organization is called now. So it seems like it's a better idea to help out each smaller one and do that instead of one giant application as a single no. Like hopefully
you're going with the odds here. So you just get,
Yeah.
like buying more tickets at the lottery.
Yeah, well, they have a couple of levels of this grant too, right? So they've got a $250,000 cap one, and then they have the bigger cap. The smaller cap is probably an easier one to get, I'm guessing. I'm not sure, but so yeah, so we'll see where that one lands. Hopefully this time we got turned down flat last time, so. And then as a part of that community development report, I've asked you to separate out the grant services report with our grant writer. So he just wrote a small report here. He had about 40 people come to the grant writer workshop, and connected them with a bunch of new people too, so they could expand the network, I guess. The other kind of project he's been working on, which is just about done, is that there's a database that he's worked out. And that database will be able to have, if you're not familiar, there is ways of finding out where all the grants are, but they're behind paywalls. Like you have to pay a membership to a certain organization in order to get to access to it. So what this grant database is supposed to do is give us access to all of it without having to go there. And then we're going to make that available to every organization in the region. So.
Question?
Yeah.
Is our grant writer seeing what we see as mayors? Because a lot of stuff does get sent to us. Of grants available and that we're members of. So should we be forwarding that to him, or does he already get it?
Forward to him anyway.
Okay.
I mean,
Yeah.
it doesn't cost anything to do that.
Okay.
So what if he gets a few extra emails?
Yeah, good answer. Any other things on that? If not, we'll go to economic development report.
Economic development. So yeah, as you can imagine, we've had several meetings. I have, Charlene has, the different economic adjacent
No, I can't.
organizations. There's been a lot of meetings around tariffs. I mean, obviously, there's nothing we can solve, but really, it's just about resiliency and adapting to what may or may not happen. Charlene has been pulling her hair out with this zonal immigration resource application. I've never seen anything so tedious and so ridiculous in my life as this application. But what it is they're gonna fully fund a person for our region. And what happens is anybody that immigrates to the area, they are the point person that can assist them with all the stuff they need to know living in New Brunswick and particularly our region. That's the point. And it's fully funded and we're approved for it, but the actual process is rather onerous. And we've been meeting a lot with Pedal OMB and some others about your immigration because it's kind of an issue for us, the slowdown in immigration. We're going to have a problem with workforce in particularly tourism this year. It's just not enough people to get there. So we've looked at some alternatives and we've talked a lot. I was involved in one of the meetings with OMB and with Working MB. And I talked about where else do you look? So we're talking about youth, like youth that are here, youth retention, taking advantage of retired, semi-retired, anybody else that's not an immigrant coming in to do a job. There's we talked about supports that we might have in place or things that we can do to make it better to make sure young people stay here to take up those jobs where we don't have the immigration to do those things. A variety of things anyway. So there's a lot of work happening behind the scenes on that stuff.
Just a quick one on that. Good, Hollis. Yes, we're through you, Mr. Chair. Just so everyone's aware that there is new federal policies around student visas. So you're going to see the New Brunswick Community College, St. Andrews, have a decline in enrollment because of this. It's greatly impacting the number of international students that are coming here and working the jobs that we need a labor force for, to be quite frankly. I know it's being driven around housing more than anything, kind of nationally, but this kind of one fit solution all is going to have some impacts on our local talent pipeline through the New Brunswick Community College. And I just, I do kind of just scratch my head at, we're going to put somebody in the region to help us with, immigration and new people settling in our communities, but in the same sense, we finally have that position and we're starting to close the border or like the country on them. So it just doesn't make sense, to be completely honest. Like that should have been in place before, not when we're shrinking it. Like it just doesn't make any government sense to me.
Makes perfect government sense.
That's
Brad.
you beat
Yeah.
me to it.
The wheels are gonna.
Well said. Well said.
But the more positive, or not positive, but the other way of looking at that is when we do the immigrants that we do get, if we have somebody to help keep them here, then that's all about it. But I get totally what you're saying. The Business Summit registration is now open, by the way. And last year, a couple of events sold out completely. The headliner keynote event is Alan Doyle. Did I get that right?
Yep.
Great Big C. Yep.
Yep, that's the guy. It's a speaking engagement, not a music engagement, but
You'll say.
he might.
Oh, yeah.
Probably bring guitar. And a variety of other stuff. It's slightly scaled down from what we had last year, but it's still packed full of lots of good stuff. And judging from that event, by the way, is being shown as an example of what to do around the rest of the province. They were thoroughly impressed with it. And so, yeah. So anyway, that's open. If you want tickets, I would not wait. So we did a Health Link registration thing in St. Stephen, and they're planning another one for Eastern Charlotte. There was over 400 people came to sign up for NB Health Link. No surprise, they were quite busy. We had some volunteers. Anyway, complete success. And what that does is just demonstrate we have hard data on the need in our region for health professionals. And that's my report, Mr. Chair.
Well, did you do tourism?
Not yet.
Not yet.
Oh, okay.
That's
I
next
get you.
step, yeah. And just write down that day of, April the second, right, for Easter child. No, any questions? If not, we move on to the tourism promotion report.
Okay, so tourism promotion, they're planning out the summer campaign that'll launch in May through August. The winter campaign is running right now. And you can see some of the examples. I know it's hard to read there, but that's some of the social stuff that came up. There was a partnership with the Winter Warmer Festival to promote the event. We got 109,000 impressions. The audience reached 66,000. Right now, they're working on expanding the tourism website. This will have the customizable itinerary. So when people go on there, they see all the different things around. They can say, you know, you could heart them, and then you can build that into. You can build like a 2, 3, 4 day
Or you can personalize it.
personalized itinerary. So that's going to be super. Like, people love that. They go on. Oh yeah, I like that. And we didn't invent that. I think Newfoundland does that. A couple others. And there is didn't mention here, but I know that there's the travel trade show coming up in Winnipeg. That's the wholesale trade. So that one is fairly important. Make sure that we're on the travel agents radar, so we get included in the itineraries for. It used to be that they went from Halifax and went up to Moncton, and they would kind of go straight up to Quebec City, but now through this, we've actually added our corner of the province, which used to be get north to the
That's be my question. Is just on the way things are going right now. I hate to have us focusing on certain travelers coming, and we better get back to you know, travel New Brunswick type thing and our own. So we should start seeing too, when we go Googling or however the hell you search your trips, that we'll see the places around here or in New Brunswick. Yeah, I think we should, I'm glad to hear that you're doing that.
oh, definitely no.
Because that was one of my complaints, was people are saying they're searching and they're not seeing it, and they're not getting it. But my answer to them was, well, because we're not focused on you, we're focusing on them. But I think I really think we need to focus on.
It's easy to change those targets.
The other one will be a win if it comes, but
yeah,
thank you.
It's easy to change those targets to targeting, because social is where you're going to get it, right?
Okay.
But it's easy to change that target from, you know, Maine or New Hampshire to Nova Scotia, or like it's easy to do. We already do Nova Scotia, but but yeah, no, definitely travel is going to, tourism is like COVID was, right? So
It could be.
people aren't
It
going
really
to,
could be.
people canceled their USA trips. They're still going to want to travel somewhere. This is a great spot to come. So that's kind of the shift. That's my report, Mr. Chair.
Okay, any other questions or comments?
Well, is the page active? Because I'm getting some complaints that it's not open for business going. Is that been fixed? That's been brought up before. I do not, like, it's
What page?
the tourism page.
All right.
It is open now? Okay. I haven't been checked, so shame on me, but.
It was never not open.
Okay.
Always.
Again, I never tried myself personally. I'm just.
If there's no other questions or comments on that, we'll go on to the financial update.
Okay, so this month for the financial update, because January is always weird. Because I don't have a whole like year trend to show you and stuff. I gave you the whole enchilada of our comparative income statement. Normally, we pretty this up and kind of give you a summary of, you know, the high points and things like that, so you can see where we are in comparison to the budget. I'm still showing you where we are in comparison to the budget, but it doesn't make a lot of sense because there's a whole lot of expenses that are front end loaded in January that add up, like for instance, paying the insurance bill. Things like that. So it looks like we're in a deficit, and on paper, yeah, we are in a deficit. For January, but when you spread it over the year, we're not. So I just wanted to make sure that I had all the details there for you this year. It looks like we're at minus 118,000, but the fact is that there's a whole lot of stuff that gets paid up front in the year. It does get paid for the rest of the year. And that's why, there was a purchase of a truck, for instance, that happens in January. But we got a truck every month. In fact, that's the only truck we're buying. There's a couple of things that we paid out of economic development, a lot of fees for the business summit, for instance, that we pay up front and then we get stuff back later on. Insurance, of course, and things like that. So we're not off track, but I just want to make sure you can see all of the various categories that we have in our financial summary. And if anybody has any questions on that now or later, you can always call me.
Anything else in financial and anything else? Is that Hoss? Everything good?
That is it, Mr. Joe.
Good. That's all your reports for tonight. That's what I commend you on your Canada Person initiative. I think that's very commendable of you taking the initiative to do that, and I think with the political what's going on in the politics in the world in North America right now, I think that's the best thing for you happening right now. So thank you for doing that.
It's a matter of security, right?
Absolutely. Okay, next item is upcoming meetings, March 13th, we're in Eastern Charlotte. Minister Kennedy will be attending that one. At 5:30 start. March 27th is our regular board meeting. And the next item is question and answer to the public. Any questions, answers?
I have something I'd like to bring up.
Sure.
On the 27th, we have advocacy days taking place in Fredericton. I for one will be going to that. I'm not sure how many other of the mayors will be going to that. But it might be something that we want to reschedule our meeting for.
That's on the 26th, right?
It's 26, 27.
Wednesday, Thursday, yeah.
And so I don't know how long it goes into Wednesday, but Thursday, I'm assuming 4 o'clock to 5 o'clock. I haven't seen the agenda. Have you guys seen the agenda?
Yes.
I did. It was on their website.
Okay.
Let me just bring up the time quickly.
It starts in the afternoon Wednesday, you'd be fine. Then and Wednesday evening, and then there's I
It's,
think half the day Thursday.
it's actually done at noon on Thursday.
Okay, then I withdraw mine. I should be home by then.
Off on the way back by.
But it's a good catch just in case. So yeah, it's done at noon though. The last one's the healthcare and New Brunswick challenges opportunities.
Any other questions or comments?
So that's,
Yeah.
just continuing on that meeting's on the 27th, and that's so you're talking about rescheduling that?
No, he just found out that they're done that day at noon, so it should be no problem.
Should be good?
We should be good.
Okay.
Yeah. Question and answer for the public.
None, Mr. Chair, but just a reminder that I am on vacation as of the 14th of March.
Should be cleared by the board or? No, I just kidding.
Doesn't matter.
If you don't get it, it's all on the discussion, right?
We make all stay away.
I think you've already purchased the tickets.
We got two tickets wrapped to raffle out.
I was gonna make a motion that I go instead.
Okay, I need a motion for adjournment. You got Harvey's done the motion for adjournment. Thanks, guys. Good meeting.
I was sitting here.
Thanks, everyone.
Careful on the roads, guys.
There was a
That's
deer.
Yes, be
On
careful.
one side, the other ones are gone.
Oh, what-
So